everyone, and welcome back to season 4 of the SPEMA Council podcast. My name is Jackson Prelli, and I'm one of your co-hosts for the season as well as the podcast producer. Joining me on the hosting side today, we have Madeline Grossi, our podcast administrator and co-host. Now I'll throw over to Maddie to introduce our podcast guest today.
Thanks, Jackson. Today we have TJ is the current head coach for the Brock men's hockey team. TJ has an extreme amount of experience on the coaching side of hockey, having coached for 6 additional teams before landing his current role here with the Brock Badgers. He also has been a scout for the Omaha Lancers Hockey Club. TJ is also the host of the Coaching Project podcast and was previously the vice president of the American Hockey Coaching Association, along with many other projects and experiences in his sports career. We are happy to welcome TJ as the 8th guest here on the SPEMA Council podcast. Thanks for joining us, TJ.
Oh, thank you very much for the invitation.
Yeah, no worries. So we'll jump right into it. So how about you take us through your coaching career and how you first got involved and what you enjoy so much about it?
I've always enjoyed coaching, and I think it started as a kid, kind of being exposed to it. My dad was a coach, and so I was in situations where I was exposed to those environments, and I really enjoyed it. But even as a kid, like I remember in grade 8, I helped coach the grade 6 volleyball team. In high school, I helped coach the girls hockey team at my school. When I graduated high school, I went back, helped coach the rugby team. So I've always enjoyed that interaction and being a part of a team and trying to help the athletes and give back and be competitive and all those fun things. And so I'm one of those people that kind of always knew I wanted to be a coach from a younger age. And when I made a decision at a certain point, okay, like playing hockey is not the direction I'm going to go in anymore. I'm going to transition to coaching, and I did that at a relatively young age, kind of early mid-20s.
No, for sure. And then you said your dad was involved in coaching. So was there one coach that you had in your career that maybe was stood out to you and inspired you to follow that path?
I mean, I think you take bits and pieces from every coach you have, things you like, and maybe some things that you wish were a little different. Probably a coach that has influenced me a lot would be my minor hockey coach. His name is Kevin Rutledge, because more so about the environment he created. You know, he obviously taught us things about hockey, but he created an environment where everybody on the team, we had fun and we enjoyed being at the rink. We enjoyed being together. We had a really tight team, and the coaching staff was a part of that. So I've learned a lot from just the power of having a positive environment, and I learned that from that experience with him.
No, for sure. Positive environment's a huge thing within coaching. So as Maddie mentioned earlier, you do have your own podcast, the Coaching Project podcast. So we just wanted to know what led to the creation of that, and how has that been going so far?
Yeah, well, it was a thought I had a few years ago, and when COVID hit, like a lot of coaches, we didn't have teams to coach for the time being, and a little more time in your hands. And I've always been very thirsty for learning and knowledge and networking and sharing and interacting with other coaches. And I thought that a podcast would be a really interesting way to do that. And it started just one really simple. I mean, it was a Zoom call just like this. And my first couple were just buddies of mine that were coaching that I thought had good resumes and interesting backgrounds. And the concept was just an authentic conversation like we might have anyways, just talking to each other over a coffee, and but record it and then put it out there. Hopefully people would, coaches or others would find value in it. And what ended up happening was it kind of took on a life of its own. I really, really enjoyed it. When you talk to interesting people, you learn things, but it also became an interesting avenue to talk to people I don't know. So it first started with people I know because it was comfortable. And then it was, wow, I've got this tool here where I could reach out to anybody and ask them if they want to talk. And it became a pretty good networking tool as well as learning tool. And I hopefully also, giving back and providing value to others that want to, that are interested in coaching and leadership and development and high performance.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly kind of where, like our purpose comes from, because we just joined, SPEMA Council in our first year and got a taste of it. And then Jackson and I kind of really understood the value of like having these conversations with people and reaching out to them. And, if you need to reach out to them in the future, then like you've already had a conversation with them. And it almost makes it a little bit easier for us to, schedule these conversations and these recordings for like a purpose, but it's also something like that we could do on our outside time. So we're kind of combining the two, putting it into one, and here we are. And for us, it's really trying to benefit the students. We want other sport management students to tune into these and see these sports professionals that we're talking to, and hopefully that they can see all the different careers and avenues out there in the industry. So it's really interesting.
It's a win-win-win, right? It's all good. It's all positive, and I think the follow-up is really important, right? So if it's one that you're right, you had a conversation, you have kind of an open door to talk to somebody moving forward, but those best relationships are kind of fostered over time. So having some sort of system as well to follow up and stay connected with people,
Yeah,
is in a really authentic way. That's the trick, right? Like that's the art of it, but it can be really powerful because now, like, I know myself, I have friends and people that I've engaged with purely online or on video all over the world that I would say are friends and colleagues and people that I can lean on, and they can lean on me. And so you guys are right on the right track. It's a really smart idea.
yeah, for sure. And like everything's changed over the last few years, especially due to COVID. But how has coaching and the landscape changed since like you started to play hockey to now you being in that role? And how have you seen some of those like practices change over the years?
Yeah, so I'm 39. I'll be 40 next year, and I'd say like my age group was probably really the last age group that was dealing with, let's say, like more old school, where like every coach was kind of old school, except for Kevin that I talked to you about earlier. And but we started to resist that. We're the age where we didn't, my age group, like we didn't like that. We resisted it and started to feel like, hey, there's a better way. And so I think I've grown with that from a player into coaching into now, that it's very natural for me to have a student player centered approach and to communicate the value of that and how important it is. But I think that's kind of the biggest change that I've seen, is just that whether all coaches know how to do it or not, I think they all recognize that they should be trying to do it. So there's a spectrum. There's a lot of great coaches, and there's a lot that can be better, and there's everybody in between. But I think that's the biggest change since I started.
No, for sure. Change is always change is always happening. You see it every day. And then, as we also mentioned earlier, you were a scout for the Omaha Lancers Hockey Club. So, can you just maybe like touch upon like how like scouting has helped you transition into coaching, or how coaching helped you with scouting?
Yeah, so like at the university level as a coach, scouting is a big part of it, anyways. And so in the NCAA, I was there for 15 years. A big part is recruiting, and recruiting starts with scouting. And so in those programs, you don't have a scouting staff like you might in junior or pro. The coaches are responsible to do that. So it was something I was doing anyways. And I was looking for, again, this was kind of during COVID, where I had more time. Like my team, we didn't know what was going on. I had a little more time. I thought this is an opportunity that I can do something different at a different level, scout players that have a different age group. Because at Omaha Lancers, you're scouting like 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, where at university level, I've whether it's Division III or U Sports, you're primarily looking at 20-year-olds. And then in Division I, when I was there, you are looking at some of those younger kids. But it was just a growth opportunity, something different. I wanted to see what it was like. I wanted to learn more about the United States Hockey League and how drafts get put together, and how the scouts, how it all funnels toward that end product of selecting players. not just for the draft, but also camps or invites to camp and free agent signings and things like that.
Yeah, just wanted to hop in there, TJ. It's interesting because one of my best friends from home, I'm from Keswick, which is about 2 hours north of Niagara here, but one of my best friends from home during COVID actually went to Omaha. So when I saw that you were a scout there, it's funny how it's such a small world.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I was primarily focused on the New England area because that's where I was coaching and living at the time. And I also have some contacts in Europe. So I was building lists of European prospects and then keeping an eye on Ontario as well, because obviously being from Toronto and I have a lot of contacts here, but there wasn't a lot of hockey being played that year in Ontario, unfortunately. Yeah. But in the United States, they seem to find ways to play more hockey.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And then on this season, we like to transition into like real life sports talk. So we're just going to transition to that. So NHL season's about 3 weeks in, about a month in. So we just want to see, what is your Stanley Cup finals prediction? Who do you have winning it all? I know it's early.
I listen. I have to say, I always say Toronto Maple Leafs. They're my team. Since a kid, I really cheer for them. But I have to be honest, I actually don't follow it as much as I'd like. I'm kind of really misinformed on current events, not just sports, but in the world during hockey season. I just if I have free time, I'm not following other things. I'm thinking about our team, and I guess that might kind of sound boring to some, but that's where my passion lies, and that's where my brain goes when I have free time. So I'm not educated on the topic, so I'll just stick with the Leafs.
I mean, Leafs forever. Leafs forever.
They do look good.
Yeah. And then what's like, I know you've talked about you've had like influences from coaching before, but what's been your favorite memory of coaching? Maybe like a championship win or something. Like, what's one memory that really stands out to you over your career?
Well, the most recent one was winning the Steel Blade with Brock this year. It was my first Steel Blade. I'd never experienced that before. I knew it was a big deal, and I've been a part of lots of games with lots of fans before, but this one was different. I thought the energy in the crowd was unbelievable, and I thought that our players played great. Like, when you go to big games and your players play to their best, that's when you're really proud as a coach. It's hard to do that, to play your best when it matters the most, and they did that. So that was really cool. And then just to see how important that whole event was to our campus, to the region, to our alumni, and then to our players. Like, it really mattered a lot. So that's my early highlight here. Prior to that was actually probably last April. I was a part of won a gold medal at the U18 World Championships with Team Hungary, and it was in Asiago, Italy, and that experience, just international competition on a mountain in Italy, winning a gold medal, like, it was something I'll never forget. It was amazing.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
yeah, and
go ahead.
Sorry, Jackson. No, I was just gonna say, going back to the Steel Blade, I mean, we were pretty excited too, because this is our third year at Brock, and that's the first time we've ever been able to experience it as well. So definitely a highlight. I'm excited because I'm a big hockey fan. I know Jackson is too. So we were happy to finally experience it and not just like see all the pictures online.
That's great.
No. Steel Blade was a very enjoyable memory. I was there with my red cowboy hat. We parked ourselves right behind the Guelph penalty box, so anytime there was a penalty, you could see like the players would just kind of look at us, and it was we were giving it to them too, making sure they knew they made a mistake.
I do. I love it.
But putting us on the power play, that's always a mistake, because we should always score.
That's right.
So then, as you also previously talked about, you previously coached like the women's hockey team when you were in high school. You coached the rugby team. So if you could coach one team in any sport, what team would it be and why?
Oh, Team Canada hockey. That would be the team I'd want to coach. I think obvious reasons as a Canadian, but I've just always loved the idea of international competition, and that would be amazing.
Now, are we thinking like U18, World U20, World Juniors, or like just like Team Olympic, or just like any Team Canada team?
Well, if we're being truthful, I'd I'd be willing to fill coffee cups for any of those teams. But if anyone who asked, I would be there. But if we're asking my dream, let's go to the Olympics. Let's go to the Olympics, and we're going to win gold with Team Canada.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And then last one here, you just touched on the steel blade, but maybe outside of hockey or outside of sports, like what's your favorite aspect here at Brock that you've enjoyed so far?
I think Brock is the best kept secret that there is in Canadian University. I grew up like I said, I was born in Toronto, and then we moved to Oakville when I was a kid. So I've been through down the QEW, and I lived in the United States for a long time, right? So I've passed the 406 hundreds, and I never pulled off until I went to interview at Brock for this job. And so I didn't even know like how great, like how the campus is accessible. It's great. The majors are outstanding. The passionate students, and because of the majors, I think people are passionate about what they're doing. And of course, with our hockey team, we have the new facility, which is beautiful. We've got to get more students to know where we're playing. So if you can help with that, that would be great, because we're right across the street. And then just the region, like the whole like St. Catharines, Thorold, Niagara region, really cool. And you kind of like, you have it all. You don't have to sacrifice anything, because you have the kind of the smaller feel, tight knit community of Brock and also the region, but you're so accessible to so many things to do. Toronto, Niagara Falls, water, the escarpment, like it's awesome.
No, for sure.
Total
Yeah,
package.
I agree. Brock's the whole package. I mean, I knew I wanted to go here mainly just because of the sport management program. But once you get here, it's a pretty nice area. And I also enjoy that it's normally a little bit warmer than it is at home for a little bit longer. So,
well, for you in particular, but you know what I learned when I was researching is that actually this bench region, right, between the escarpment and the lake, is some of the best climate in Canada. Period. I didn't know that. Like, it's more mild. The winters aren't as bad. That's interesting. I had no idea.
yeah. Well, we've had a great talk here today so far, and we like to give our guests here the final word. So, Jackson and I thank you for joining us today for another episode here. And yeah, the floor is yours. Thanks, TJ.
Oh well, no, thank you for the opportunity to come on. Hopefully, it was worthwhile. I appreciate our persistence in finding the date, and we're actually we're in Thunder Bay right now. We're playing Lakehead tonight, so I'm in the hotel. It's the weather is not good, and we're gonna go on a field trip right now. When I get offline, I don't think it's gonna last very long, but we're gonna go check some things out. But no, if there's anything that I can do or the hockey team can do for obviously Jackson or you, Madeline, but also any SPEMA students, we want to be supportive of that. And I see athletics like Brock Sports and SPEMA, and like I said, the whole university is just so there's so many interconnections that are possible. So consider us friends and allies and partners, and let's keep doing great things and provide opportunities for all our students.
Amazing.
No, and then good luck this weekend. Hoping, because I believe it's a back-to-back, so hoping for 2 big W's. Keep the train going. Good start to the season. We were ranked as well, so
yeah,
keep the train moving. Keep on rolling.
Yeah, we're gonna try our best. We're in tough. Lakehead's a good team, and it's a tough environment, and we got a great challenge ahead of us. But we're ready and we're excited.
Perfect. Well, thank you. We know you're busy, so have fun on your little field trip there. Hopefully, you don't get too cold, but
yeah, we'll see. This will be interesting.
Well, thank you again, and roll Badgers. Go Badgers.
Yeah, let's go. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.